I'm short, so let's move this down. I own it. I own it. 5'2", that's what I am. I own it. So I'm Debbie Corrie, and I was in Intention. And I'm going to talk today about my journey to entrepreneurship, because it wasn't a typical one. It was filled with successes and failures. And prior to starting out as a business owner, I was a C-suite executive, and you asked me if I wanted to own a business. I said business owners were crazy. I did not want to be a business owner. They worked hard, they struggled. I didn't wish that upon myself. I saw it all the time. So I enjoyed being an employee. It was great. And besides, I had a couple of side hustles. I had a Mary Kay business. I'd started a tax practice. My business partner, Chris, is here tonight. You know, I had it good. And then in 2015, it became a really significant year for me. I worked at a startup company that had international offices, and it really opened up my eyes. I was working 80 hours a week, literally 80 hours a week, and I didn't have any work-life balance. During that year, I began to look at entrepreneurship differently. After a year at the age of 54, I came home one day and told my husband I no longer wanted to be a W-2 employee. He did not take the news well. My husband literally asked me if I had lost my mind. What he didn't know is it was actually his fault. When I was looking for a job this next time around, he said to me, "I don't understand why when you get things fixed, you don't want to stay there anymore." And I said, "What, can you say that again?" What he helped me realize is I love the strategy and the implementation and solving problems for people. And once the big picture problems were solved, I didn't want to stay and do the everyday work. So literally, Dave, who couldn't attend tonight, when you read my speech or see the recording, it is your fault. So I decided it was time to move on. I had to do something different. I was 54 years old. You can't move around every 2 to 3 years. People don't start hiring you when you get older. So I found this company called B2B CFO, and they had a process for you to get started in a partnership. You ran your own practice, and you kept part of your receipts. It was a great gig. My husband said, "How much do we get paid every month?" And I said, "It doesn't work like that." He goes, "Well, I don't want you to do that." And it was the first time in our marriage I looked at him and I said, "Well, honey, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And I'm going to take the leap." So B2B CFO had this program. They said it took 6 months typically to get your first client. I'm a slow learner. It took me 10. But I learned a lot of things along the way. One of the things I learned was how not to network. So when I first started networking, I would go to as many events as possible, collect as many business cards as possible, reach out to people, have a meeting with them, and expect results. That is not how networking works. So what I learned from my business coach is what networking is all about is building connections, helping other people first, learning how to give, shutting up, and listening to what they had to say. So I started doing it differently. I would go to a networking event and talk to 2 or 3 people and ask them lots of questions about themselves and their business and what they did for a living. And this crazy thing happened. People started saying, "Go talk to Debbie. She's great." The lesson I learned was people don't get listened to. And when you listen to them and their goals and their ideas, they want to talk to you more. One of the things I did at the partnership was I talked to potential partners. And I had been at the partnership for approximately 3 years. There was a woman that wanted to join, and I said to her, I gave her the lowdown on what it was like to be a partner, that, it may take them longer than 6 months, because, B2B kept telling everybody it's 6 months and you're done. I'm like, no, it could take 10. You could be a slow learner like me. You got to be prepared for that. It's hard. And so I said to her, you really need to talk to a successful partner so you can understand how this works. The other end of the phone got super quiet. And I said, "Are you still there?" I was driving, of course, so I wanted to make sure I hadn't lost the connection. And she said, "Debbie, I asked for a super successful partner and they sent me to you." So one of the lessons I learned was enjoy your success along the way. You don't have to get to the top of the mountain to be successful. There's successful things you have on the way on the top of the mountain. Very humbling experience for me. So the pandemic hit in 2020. I'd been at the partnership for 4 years, and I realized I wanted to do things differently. In May of that year, I had attended an online event. Everybody remembers the pandemic, right? You were bummed out on Zoom. Zoom made $1 bazillion because nobody knew what Zoom was. I attend this event. I join a mentorship program. I have my first meeting with my coach, and he says, "What are your goals, Debbie?" And I said, "I want to grow a $7 million company." And he said, "Well, that's not possible." And I said, "What?" He goes, "They don't allow you to hire employees. You can't do $1 million of business on your own." So I thought about what he said, and he was right. And I had some tough decisions to make. Did I want to stay at this partnership, or did I want to build a company? Those were two different things. So 2 weeks later, we had another meeting, and he said, "Well, what are we going to talk about today?" And I said, "Well, I have registered my new company. The name is AccuMaxim, and I've signed up with a publisher, and I'm going to have a book, and it's all going to happen November 1st. Silence on the other end of the phone. He goes, "Okay, lock and load, ready to go." And we did. We launched the company in November of 2020. I didn't know what the next chapter was going to bring, but I knew I was going to be in charge of it, and I knew I had to do things differently. That book had been a dream of mine. It's called Loving Failure, Getting Control of Your Business Health. It was an international bestseller. I took time to enjoy that day and enjoy that success since then. It had been a lifelong dream. My dad, who isn't with us anymore, I had told him at one point in my life I wanted to write books. My dad was an engineer, so if there are any engineers in the audience, I apologize. But he said, "Oh, that's great. Go write some technical books." No, that's not what I wanted to do. So, like any business owner, I was challenged with hiring the right people and getting the right team members and what that should look like. I learned through failure what kind of people we needed to hire to work. One of my first requirements is that we have to hire happy people. Now, that may sound silly, but if you hire happy people, they tend to be happy at work, and you tend to have a better culture. In 2022, I got the brilliant idea to start accepting bookkeeping clients. Remember, we're a CFO company. I hired accountants to do the bookkeeping work, and we started getting bookkeeping clients, and life was good. But it wasn't good for my employees. It was making my people miserable. Remember those happy people I hired? They weren't happy anymore. The model was broken, and as hard as I tried, I couldn't fix it. I had to let the bookkeeping business go. It was hard, and it was a fail. We stopped accepting new clients and refocused back on our CFO business. For the first time in 2023, our business didn't grow. We had to retool and get focused what we were good at. Success includes a lot of difficulties. You may be able to enjoy the small victories and not wait to enjoy this success until you get to the top of the mountain. You will never be satisfied with the life you're creating if you're only letting yourself enjoy the end goal. What I have learned on this journey as women, we tend to forget that our biggest asset is ourselves. We're the only people that can protect our asset. Here are some other lessons I've learned along the way. Never sell me short. My price is my price, and the right clients are willing to pay it. If you're an employee, the same is true. Know your worth and make sure you get it. If your employer is unwilling to pay what you're worth, it's time to move on. I did that at least 2 times in my career. Share your story. Men share their stories all the time, all that they learn from each other. As women, many times we are taught that it is boasting and we are being arrogant. It's simply not true. Sharing your story allows and inspires other women because they point to your story and they will say, if she can do it, I can do it. If I have a dream, now you've made that possible for that other person. As a recovering perfectionist and control freak, I am letting go of 100% and living by the 80-20 rule. Any perfectionists and control freaks in the audience? I'm not a perfect mom, wife, or business owner. I'm a magnificent badass that is also a work in progress. My imperfections are what make me a good human. Stop comparing yourself to others like me. You are on your own journey and your own timeline. The only person you need to be accountable to is yourself. Learn to see what you like and change what you don't. Never stop learning. The world is an ever-changing place. Be open to new things. Pick what works for you and let go of the rest. You control your narrative. Stop saying you're enough. It's limiting. You are an amazing human. Accept a compliment graciously. That means just saying thank you. Nothing more. Acknowledge that you are a badass in your own right. At the end of the day, it's family and friends that matter most. Make sure to make the time for the things that are important to you. Do something crazy this year that makes your stomach tingle. It will work or it won't, but you'll know the answer. When 80-year-olds are asked to look back at their life and ask what they regretted the most, it's the decisions that scared them because they don't know the answer. Now they'll wonder what would have ever happened if they had said yes. They regretted not taking more chances in life. Live your life with grit and intention.